All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 51 of the Six Scale Scavengers podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Fontaine, joined as always with my good friends, Chris Letty and TC. Guys, the show after the big show, episode 51. We had it was a great time talking with Roy and kind of reminiscing about all the good times we've had and the good times on the way. And Chris, we're trying to come up with an intro here on the fly. Couldn't think of anything. We just had a last minute scheduling change, which is it happens, but we'll come back to the guests we were going to have on hopefully next episode. I guess Scavengers have to apologize. We said there were giveaways. Some of your co-founders here just haven't had the time to compile. Actually, we did compile the list.
Yeah,
we have the list of winners. We got to go through and start contacting people, and so apologies. We don't usually like to promise something and not deliver, but yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. Compiling the list took a bit too long, and then schedules and all that fun stuff. But yep, we'll get that all squared away, and we'll announce the winners at some point and get that stuff shipped out.
So how you guys? I know we don't really have anything planned for the opening here. I know we're starting to get some cool stuff that we're going to be able to talk about. So I think I'll try to do my good hosting moderator duties here. So, we do have some Hot Toys news to talk about. We have 5 figures, 4 of them being Toy Fair exclusives to talk about. We have some photos for that. We have the ever popular collection update. Maybe not as interesting because we've kind of had less time in between our last episode because we recorded on a Saturday last time out, so we could get Roy on there. So for a topic, this one's going to be a little interesting. Now, guys, we typically try to either do something tip related or give advice or something, but I thought, wouldn't it be fun just to, let's put on our speculation hats a little bit and talk about maybe what we think could be some figures that we'll see as a result of the virtual Comic-Cons. The Sideshow's calling it their Sideshow Con 2020, and maybe some predictions for that. And if you're listening on the podcast now, or if you've been live watching, and you saw the cover art flipping by, Elvis's favorite figure ever, the Death Trooper, will be the figure that we'll cover, and looking forward to that. And we're going to look at the Specialist. So the Specialist or the Deluxe. The Deluxe had only the large rifle, and it had the rock base, and it did have the little Stormy doll that came with it. That was Jen Erso's when she was a child. And so we'll be talking about that. It's kind of timely because, eventually at some point early next year, we're going to get the reissue from The Mandalorian, which will be just the standard figure. So this is a pretty hot commodity for Star Wars collectors. And I guess we could probably make a whole other topic about this, guys, but it seems like Star Wars is not cool. Marvel is in, and you're seeing the shift already occurring. It's crazy. People just want the latest thing. I think that's what I've discovered, Chris and TC, after 2 years of doing this podcasting thing.
Yep, the latest and the greatest, whatever everybody else is shifting to. It's funny, 2 years in, seeing the ups and downs, the trends, what's hot, what's not, when to buy, when to sell, all that sort of thing. And you can already start to see the Marvel juices flowing within the community. And I mean, not that Star Wars is gone. It's not like it's dipped off, but all these Marvel releases, the figures coming out, these events, and especially in Japan at Toy Sapiens, they had a huge event, and that was pretty impressive. They pulled that off, and it looked like a great time. There was so much product, and there was a lot of figures on display, a lot of prototypes that they had shown, and got a lot of people thinking, and kind of plays into our predictions and what might come out as far as new pre-order releases, and yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I already think I know one of your predictions, which is going to be Chris. Something you probably wanted for several years now. So, Chris, TC, before we get into talking about the first figure release that came out in Hong Kong, let's give a shout out to Scavengers tuning in live. We see Austin, Steven, Red Wolf. Red Wolf, love all the photography lately, buddy. It's very cool, and glad to see you dipping your toe in Star Wars. Danny Lee, Mike Collins, Robert, Marlon, Simon, Mario, the Intergalactic Arms Dealer. We've got Brolio. I probably said that wrong. I apologize. RJ, Sean, Albert, the artist formerly known as Gare Bear, giving us his glow ray. So, guys, I didn't know if he's going to be able to tune in live, but we were supposed to have the 6-scale economist join us tonight, so we're going to hopefully get him on next time. And if you haven't checked out his channel yet, definitely a very interesting and different take than we take on collecting, but still there's so many different opinions out there, and that's why we wanted to talk with him, and we'll get him on again soon. So check out his channel. Justin. Going through the full list like I don't normally do. Chris is tuning in. Yeah. Chris is turning into his own show. We've got Jeff, Wayne, Taylor out there. So I apologize if I missed anybody, but 44 listening and tuning in live. Awesome. Welcome aboard, old and new. So I also, probably should have led with this too, but after 51 episodes, guys, I know we have a lot of scavengers that tune in, and sometimes people catch these. I would definitely say, to go through 50 episodes is going to take somebody a lot of dedication to binge. We kind of gave a little bit of our backstory, Chris and TC in episode 50 that we recently just had. But we cover almost exclusively hot toys here. This is a 6-scale collecting podcast. We try not to dabble too much in other things, even though some of us, namely me, kind of are collecting some other things now. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's for new and old collectors, new and experienced, and we use this as an opportunity to learn from our audience, and hopefully that we can help audience members kind of connect with each other and just enjoy this collecting thing. Because as we said last time out, guys, collecting can be a very solitary thing. And sometimes actual things don't always make us, feel better, or doesn't always help us through the tough times. But one thing I've learned through doing 50 of these episodes and all the new friendships and stuff that have developed as a result of that, like sometimes the things can bring us closer together, which is the most important thing.
Couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, it's great. As always, we we're here to help, and see what's new, and love just getting involved with the chat and everything. And yeah, it's a great little community we got here.
All right, guys, I'm shifting gears, and we're going to. So TC, we got up first, kind of this was a surprise release. We got the Spider-Man homemade suit from Far From Home. This one came out, maybe 4 months early, 5 months early by whatever standards a lot of us were looking at. So what are the stats on this one?
Yeah, like you said, early release, came out end of June, and retail price $267, MMS $552. Originally announced August of last year. And like you said, Bryan, this was to come out in early 2021. So this is really early. I think Steve from Rogue 16 said it best. I think Hot Toys is releasing figures that it already has the molds, already has the designs for. That's not new, nothing new to develop if they can, and this kind of fits that mold. It's just basically, it's not a reissue completely, but obviously there are slight tweaks versus the older version, and they got it out early. It looks great to me. I think Chris, you're in for this one.
Oh yeah. That's a great point. The figures that are a little bit less of the production process or something that they've already gone through to make the backlog not quite as substantial. But yeah, this was a dopo for me. This is a day one pre-order. I had to have it. I stupidly missed out on the first one. I've said it before. I had a chance to get the first one for $190 shipped at one point, and thought that the market was going to continue to dip, and it was like a week later it started going up. So yeah, I'm happy to get this one. This one is ordered through Sideshow, and we'll see when we actually get it from Sideshow. It may still be another couple months for us in the US, but yeah, this is going to go right with, I know it comes with a drone from Far From Home. This is that dream sequence or illusion sequence that Mysterio kind of threw at him. But this particular figure is going to be paired with my Iron Scavenger or Vulture from Jazz Inc. dioramas when that's finished. So I'm, and then I'll use the drone with Mysterio and then my other Spider-Man and stuff like that. But the drone looks awesome. The detail is insane on it, and the size comparison to the figure, I think it looks very accurate compared to the movie. Yeah, it's a great figure. I've never had this figure in hand, so I hear that and can see that it's one of the most posable figures out there. Photographs well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I mean, couple things. Look, I mean, it's $267, but the drone alone is got to be worth $30-$40, as an individual piece. So I mean, without it, you look at about $220. To me, the pricing's fine. Also, there are some improvements made. I was looking at Justin's collection, his review of the figure. They didn't just rehash it. Some of the material is a little bit different, a little bit more accurate to the movie on the jacket and the headpiece, and then also the eye pieces are magnetic. They're plug-ins, so it was really difficult. And I heard of some people when they remove the eye pieces on the homemade suit, they've had issues where the whole thing's come out of the socket, and when it does that, it's pretty much broken. You can't really fix it. Also, this one has some toe articulation, which is an advancement over the first one. So they've improved it. They've tweaked it, just kind of like how they did with the tech suit, Far From Home movie promo edition versus the Homecoming edition. It's a great release. I'm happy for this one. I have it on pre-order, and I want to stay current with the Spider-Man MCU movie figures, and this is a great figure to have. You can pose it however you want, and it just looks killer on that drone.
Yeah, I mean, you guys already covered a lot of it. I had the original release, so there's not really much more to say. I'll say the drone does look pretty cool. I haven't had a chance, guys, to check out any of the unboxing videos or any of the other reviews yet, but I think you said it best, TC. I mean, for the price of what you're getting, and a chance to get a figure that was highly sought after kind of at one point. So definitely, I'm just kind of, I was slacking a little bit going through some of the photos here, but I mean, it definitely, and then again, you guys said it too, like the articulation you can get, like if there's a figure, Chris, that needs to be shown like what it can do, I mean, it's Spider-Man. So you don't have to worry about, I mean, basically it's like sweatsuit material. Like you're not going to wreck this fabric. You can articulate the heck out of this. You can have it set up in you could keep changing it up. You're not going to wreck any of it. With all of the other Spider-Man releases, you have that worry of leaving it in a prolonged pose for a long time. Like you maybe want to hang him upside down. You can have him swinging. You're not going to wreck anything. So that makes this a good release. I'm not a biggest fan of the design of it. I mean, I've said it before. I like the Scarlet Spider design, what this is a little bit was inspired by, and they tried to make it a little bit more pun intended for the name, homemade. But yeah, it's definitely a solid release for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Just really quick, if I had the first one and I was, hesitant to pick up both, like if you just wanted one and you already had the first one, I probably would still keep the first one just because it comes from Homecoming. It's the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU. It also has the Peter Parker head sculpt, and that head sculpt, in my opinion, is the best Tom Holland head sculpt so far on the market. And that setup, I think, is a little bit better. Like if I had to rank them, I'd say, Peter Parker head sculpt with the original Homecoming suit ahead of this new one on the drone. I would still lean that first one if you already had it. But if you don't have it, obviously, this is a great option.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know, like Chris B from Rogue 16, he was saying how he really likes the video game ones more than the movie ones because they resonate more with him. And I can see that, with some of these MCU Spider-Man versions, if you connect more with the comics, then I could see this one not being on your want list. But I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man in general. Number one favorite character in Marvel, but I'm just as much of a fan of him in the MCU. So I'm glad we're getting at least another chance at that one.
All right, so that was the Hong Kong release, and now on July 2nd, guys, we got last year, 2019, it happened on July 3rd, so one day earlier this year. Maybe it's because of the leap year, who knows, but Hot Toys released their 2020 Toy Fair exclusives, because I can speak English, and we got all 4 of them, and we'll go through each one of these guys, but some interesting choices. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers right now are bemoaning the fact that we have another Iron Man figure on here. So TC, we've got the Iron Man Mark IV. How many Mark IVs can we have? Now, this is
as many as you want.
Yeah, this is an interesting concept, a holographic version. So I don't think they're pretending in any way that this is not a diecast, because we know from the MMS number it's 568. A kind of a translucent plastic, so you can see some of the inner workings. TC, you're kind of now the resident Iron Man expert. What are we thinking about this one?
Yeah, this is MMS 568 2020 Toy Fair exclusive. It's probably I think it's going to be released during the ACGHK, just my guess. But it says a Q3 to Q4 2020 release. So those are the stats there. But I think it looks cool. I know it's not a diecast figure, but it's going to have diecast inside. Just like the way they build all the other Iron Man figures. A lot of the inner parts are diecast, especially on the legs and the inside, to kind of give it a little bit better structure. But I think this is great. People probably laughing at me, but
we don't do that to fellow collectors.
Look, I mean, you could argue that the Mark IV diecast mold is the best one they've done. So if they're going to release, the Neon Tech, whatever. I was in the chat. I was saying Safari. Yeah. I'm in because I like these new molds that they made, because I think they're so accurate to what you see in the film. Mm-hmm. Just the general shape of the Iron Man figure, that it doesn't matter to me, what it is. If they're gonna make it, I'll buy it. So I'm gonna be a blind witness to a blind follower to Hot Toys when they make these kind of Iron Man figures. But it's warranted. I mean, they're just really good molds. They have them already in place. They put the R&D into it, and they sell them. And these types of figures are what fund some of the other ones that we get. So anyway, I love it. I think it's a cool concept. It looks, you get the translucent plastic. You can see the inner workings. You've got some of the nice effects on it, and it just looks classic, but with some more flair. So I'm all in on this one.
Very divisive, because I, again, cannot speak tonight. Chris, I sound like I'm the one that worked all day today, not you. But yeah, I'm just going through. Yeah, it's hit or miss as expected. I mean, a lot of people are kind of
Chat.
Kanji Club saying it's a big cash grab. Not necessarily disagreeing with that. You know, Sideshow Con was saying it was, you know, a pass, but then there's some others that are saying Albert's thinking of getting it too. So TC, you've got a friend there, yeah. So
I mean,
it does look cool. I mean, it's just like for me, Chris, I'm not necessarily an Iron Man collector anymore. Just not the direction I'm going. And, you know, if I did, I would probably want to have, for me, for why I collect Hot Toys, it's to have a movie representation. And, and I get what TC's saying about like the armor and stuff is definitely very iconic, but I'm just going to personally probably spend it on something else.
Yeah, this one, this Iron Man release is a pass for me personally. When you start looking at some of the pictures and stuff, it does look pretty neat the way they did it. But it's not going to fit what I've got going on. And I do want to mention Hugo in the chat saying that a zombie Iron Man would have been pretty cool. Iron
Studios is doing a 10th scale of that scene from Far From Home. So if you want that, it's an option.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, that would have been out there for an exclusive related to Iron Man, I think. But anyway,
it's a lot of work for that.
Oh yeah,
to make that an exclusive.
Yeah,
seems like a pretty difficult figure to make.
Yeah, that's why it's a statue. So
yeah. All right, next up, TC, we've got Whiplash, and as far as we can tell, this is a reissue / redo, and a lot in the vein of what we got last year for Two-Face. Two-Face was originally, Chris, one of the first, not necessarily the first, but one of the very early DC figures they did, and with the sculpts for Hot Toys have always been good. It's just the paint on the older figures sometimes isn't the best. And along that same vein, Chris, of the point you just made is maybe Hot Toys in the current worldwide situation that we're in is trying to find ways to get more out of sculpts that they already have approved and maybe some iconic figures that they maybe want to take another pass at with improved artistic ability, technology. So we've got Whiplash here on the screen, TC.
Yeah. MMS 569, also supposed to come out Q3 to Q4 2020. Like you said, it's a reissue of the older figure, but it's updated. So kind of interesting choice for an exclusive. I mean, it's like, it's not that there's no demand. I mean, people want this figure. So, I mean, people are going to buy it. It's probably going to be successful, but it's so random. I guess the other Iron Man figure is, but they always make Iron Man figures.
Yeah. You can pretty much, put your money down that it's, they're going to have an Iron Man figure as a Toy Fair exclusive. But Whiplash, I mean, everybody thinks it was so random. And this is a figure I have. It was a figure that I targeted early on because I have the Mark V and I love this scene. Some people don't, but I love how it's car racing and Marvel, combined. I love, both of those things. So I had to have this figure. That's going to be a key part of my display, these two fighting. But it is just so random. I know that the paint application for the head sculpt will be better. And the figure itself, it holds up really well. And I think the head sculpt, though, could use a little refresh, but I think it's a great sculpt of Mickey Rourke and as Ivan Vanko, and I don't know. I really like the figure, but because I already have it, I mean, it's not.
Couple things. So collecting weekly, I'm guessing this is Zach, says it's a remake, not a reissue. I wonder does anyone know what the difference is between this and the original?
Well, here's the thing. So I'm not going to necessarily disagree with him because obviously a lot of this stuff is going to be better. I guarantee you they didn't go out and get Mickey Rourke's likeness again to redo this. It's probably the same sculpt with just a better paint out, and then maybe from there, like
Different MMS number. So
yeah, so it's the different MMS number. The same thing happened with Two-Face. The Two-Face actually came with less accessories because I think before you could do a swap out, and I don't think you could for that. So, I mean, it's splitting hairs. I mean, I guess I can't fault Hot Toys. I mean, we're self-proclaimed Hot Toys fanboys. Not necessarily that they can do no wrong, but yeah, you're right, Chris. This just feels weird. There's a lot of other things that could have done, but for new Scavengers, historically, Toy Fair exclusives are a little obscure. They're not going to use one of these that aren't necessarily available to a lot of people because either for these you would have to get them at a con. So the Hong Kong con that you just mentioned, TC, and then obviously through Sideshow, if this was going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. I know Sideshow, as we'll talk about later, is doing their online Comic-Con. So once they launch that, these will then be available for pre-order. So they're just, I mean, outside of like a Dark Side Anakin, to me is probably one of the most like mainstream figures they've done that was a Toy Fair exclusive.
So comments RJU, he makes a good point. It seems random unless they're doing this as a warm-up for an eventual Mark V reissue.
Yeah.
Straight up, kind of teasing you with this picture here. And the Mark V may be coming, who knows, in the next year sometime.
I mean, I would be really surprised if they don't reissue Mark V. I've had that feeling for a while. It kind of, the Mark 47 went bonkers price-wise. And
yeah, Mark V is king right now amongst all the Iron Man figures.
So
he's still selling for like $800-900.
Jeez, I'm crow. And
so, yeah.
But just on the chat, Braulio, he's saying wear the orange pants. I'm pretty sure the Collecting Weekly guys talked about it. It might have been Group Therapy. I'm not sure, but I think there might have been a licensing issue with the color. Monaco might not have signed off on that. The racetrack. So I don't know if there's any truth to that. I know it would look a little bit better if it had orange. And then also sounds like Zach wants an MMS Justin Timberlake. I don't know. That's totally random, but it would fit for our daily chat. Everybody giving each other the JT gif.
I'll make a promise to you now, Chris. If they ever Hot Toys ever decides to make a Justin Timberlake figure, or he stars in a film that he has a close approximation to the meme that we always share, I will buy it for you as a gift, and just give it to you. I'll do that.
I love it. I think my wife will steal it, but
maybe.
Yeah.
As long as the initial thought was there that I gifted you that. So. All right, TC, let's keep this train rolling. So another exclusive, another year, another opportunity for Hot Toys to get a use out of their Stan Lee likeness. And with last year, with the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Spaceman Stan, here we have probably his funniest cameo when he tried to give Thor his haircut. So his cameo from Thor Ragnarok, which is probably by far one of the better MCU movies. Taika Waititi at the helm of that one. So I know a lot of Scavengers were pretty excited about this. I know Chris Benware specifically.
Yeah. MMS 570, there's no estimated release date for this one. Can't find it anywhere. Maybe I may have missed that on Hot Toys website, but I didn't see that. But yeah, MMS 570. I mean, they're gonna do what they can with the stand sculpt. So this was not that out there. I mean, when they gave the Guardians one last year, this one was prime candidate for a figure because some of his cameos aren't. They're not that this is iconic, but it's eye catching. Some of them aren't eye catching. So in things like the FedEx one, and I believe in Civil War, there's a licensing
Tony
problem
Stank.
with that. Yeah, Tony Stank. And then some of his other ones where he's like a bus driver or something. Just you're not going to release a bus driver Stanley or whatever.
Maybe they will.
Hugh Hefner.
I think it was Infinity War.
Yeah.
That was Infinity War. Yeah. So
here he's holding a lock of Thor's hair.
I know. That's too funny.
I mean, it's pretty cool. I'm surprised that Chris, you're not going to get this one, considering you've got almost a complete line.
I know. So
of Ragnarok figures.
Well, he needs this figure.
Well, that's my out. That's my out right now.
Don't do it, Chris.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the Road Worn Thor. I mean, that was a figure that I targeted early, and I just couldn't swing it. The price is just too high, and without that figure, I mean, this guy he looks awesome. I love the look of him, but I've got to start drawing the line somewhere, especially with some of these secondary and tertiary characters, because. Or cameo characters, because the warehouse is getting pretty full, and there's a lot of releases coming soon, and I think this one probably won't be a day one pre-order or anything like that. We'll see if it sits around like the spacesuit one from Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Maybe pick it up down the road, but yeah, it's a fun figure, and it is fun to speculate which one could be next year. I think Mario was wanting the one from Deadpool. I don't think that we'll get that one per se, but I think it's just a fun addition to your Marvel collection to throw the Stan Lee cameos in there and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's see. I'll shift gears. So we got the last one here, TC. This one was like not necessarily any kind of a worst kept secret. Continuing that very popular line from the PS4 Spider-Man game, but we've got Spider-Man 2099 black suit. I'm colorblind, red, green, but this looks awfully blue to me. And I absolutely love this suit in the game. Mm-hmm. So Chris, I had somehow I acquired it, back when you used to have to, if you didn't go get comic books from a comic shop, you could, in comic books, they had the thing where you could do a mail away and you could, order specific bundles and stuff. So I got one, and it had Spider-Man 2099 #1 issue as a reprint with like a card, a decent front and back. And I remember reading through it, and I had no idea what the heck was going on about it. I just know that he just looked cool. Obviously, he was not Peter Parker. I'm not even going to begin to try to tell you guys who this actually is, but we do know that this is Peter Parker here because he's wearing the suit from the game, and just rinse repeat kind of, I guess, guys. Our typical stance on Spider-Man figures. They look awesome. TC, your point usually is every time they release another Spider-Man figure, it really devalues the rest of them that are already out there. I'd love to see somebody make a Hall of Armor, guys, of all of the Spider-Man video game suits. So,
is this supposed to be black?
There's a white version of it, so I don't know if they're using that to differentiate. I would have called it a blue suit and then the white suit, because there is a white suit version of this too that I don't know if they'll get around to making.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any affiliation to the comics at all, so that this one doesn't speak to me. But I'm just looking at the figure. Mm-hmm. To me, it's about as navy as it can be. It does not seem black. Yeah, but that's maybe the lighting. Maybe usually I'm not colorblind.
It is navy.
Okay.
So I don't know. Again, Hot Toys isn't perfect, but I will say though, Chris, this is a pretty iconic, not iconic, poor choice of words. Spider-Man 2099 probably has more of a cult following than a mainstream following. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Probably better?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's, I mean, I remember the comics back in the early 90s, when they did all those special editions and everything. I bet Danny Lee does too. I mean, again, I mean, just, it's a cool looking figure. It's got some cool elements. The body type, everything looks really cool. The bottom of the feet, I mean, there's so much detail on those too. And for a Spider-Man completist, I think it's great. And like you said, a Hall of Armor Spider-Man lineup would be awesome, kind of like Into the Spider-Verse. But again, it's a figure that I just don't. I mean, if I was going for just cool factor, I would probably get it, but I just can't. I can't add it to the ever-growing list. I mean, I sold I forget which one it is. It the advanced tech suit? Yeah.
Yeah, advance.
I mean, I thought that figure was cool, but I had to.
I mean, all these Spider-Man figures are cool. I mean, it's not like they're bad. They're not poorly made. I mean, look at this. It looks amazing. I mean, the navy blue, the bright red, the not horns, but the
spikes
claws,
and stuff.
Spikes in his arm. They look amazing. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to come up with this kind of design and execute it.
Mm-hmm.
Execute it like they did. I mean, what are you gonna? I'm not gonna say anything negative about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fits in well in a vacuum, like as a Toy Fair exclusive, it makes total sense. But then when you run the lineup of these 4 figures, it's like, cool, we got 4 Marvel figures. Where's everybody else? Where are the other franchises? I mean,
well, what were they last year, Chris? So we had Stan's spacesuit, we had Scarlet Spider, we had Neon Tech 2.0, and then
DC,
Two-Face.
whatever, Two-Face.
So to me, in a vacuum, it's probably just as lack of exciting too. Yeah. So again, like the Toy Fair exclusives aren't meant to be mainstream figures.
There's only been like 3 Star Wars Toy Fair exclusives. Yeah, the Luke Skywalker in 2015. I don't know if Han Solo was the following year, but then they had Darkseid Anakin.
Yeah,
I think a couple of the not the Shock Trooper, but I think the Jump Trooper or something like that was one of them too.
Okay,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So in going through the checklists on our site, I remember seeing the logo a couple times. But yeah, you're right. It's not just gonna. I don't know. It's meant to be.
It just worked out that way this year for them, I guess. Yeah. Maybe they just could not. Maybe they had other potential figures in mind, but it just did not work out with, the real world.
Well, they also try and sell these like at the event, some of them when they can. So, I mean, you think if you're going to do that, you want, people to buy them. And in Hong Kong, a Darkseid Ray is not going to sell.
No.
So,
no. As cool, as cool as some people would think it would be, it's just that is not fit that market. So
yeah, and it doesn't mean some of these other things that we're talking about. I saw some chatter about wouldn't it be cool to get a Ben Solo or Darkseid Ray. It doesn't mean we're still going to get them. They might just be more mainstream releases. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that just because we didn't get a Star Wars Toy Fair exclusive, that doesn't mean there's any more Star Wars figures coming along the line. When we get to that part of the topic of the show today, I've got a couple probably not so unpredictable predictions of what we might see. But I think Star Wars fans will still get something this summer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have it in the notes, but just kind of a quick shout out to Hidalgo doing a lot of good work in our private group of sharing updates from Sideshow. A lot of things have actually sold out now. I think the Flash just sold out. The Power Pose Hulkbuster 2.0 a couple other things. So, people are still buying figures.
Yeah.
Sideshow's been sitting on a lot of these for a while, but and if enough deals come around with free shipping and whatnot, people will eventually buy them.
Yeah. Again, I mean, there's so many other retailers, but we kind of use Sideshow as a barometer, of the market and stuff. And so it is nice to see a lot of these figures finally, go sold out, wait list. Definitely, if a figure's got a wait list open and you missed out on it, it's worth a shot to just put your name on the list to see if you can potentially get one that pops up. But yeah, it's once it sells out on Sideshow,
that's when all the smaller retailers, if they still have it, when people start doing normal Google searches, if it's a site or a store, that happens to be on our website, and you can click through there and see what might still be available. Like, you've got the smaller sites like Underground Figures. Ray might still he has some older figures still. I know he's got like the War Machine Mark II and a couple other, like, Bruce Banner figure. So there's a couple of older ones that are still out there that if you search hard enough, you can find them. Really looking forward to when Steven's Collectibles will get his website going. I kind of keep pestering him a little bit when that's going to go so we can get him on our website too.
Yeah, just really quick before we move on, I did want to point out something in the market since we're kind of talking about secondary market. I've been kind of keeping some tabs on some of the key Marvel figures because during the Star Wars reign, you could tell there's a dip. And, some of the Ragnarok stuff, like the Ragnarok Hulk, which we might talk about soon, has really started to rise. And the Spider-Man Homecoming Deluxe figure took a big dip, and it got down to like the low threes. And for a while, that figure was like a $600 figure. I just saw an auction today for a pre-owned figure end up at $450. So the key figures, and if you look at like Gladiator Hulk, these key figures in Marvel are starting to kind of turn around, which tells me that others are to follow. But the sleeping giant might be waking up pretty soon.
Yeah, I've definitely been keeping an eye on some of the market too. Some figures still holding strong, figures like Yondu, Hela, some of those figures that just kind of hit that bubble that
Mark V staying strong.
I know. I'm glad they're all back there. Anyway.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's shift gears and let's talk collection update. Ever popular. So like I said at the top of the show, if you're just tuning in live, it's been less than 2 weeks since our last show. So less time to do things. Looking here at the show notes, it looks like you guys have been a little busy. And I guess I'll go first. So I don't have any 6scale updates. I was still hoping to potentially get an invoice. Actually, I do have an update. I was hoping to get an invoice from for my Mud Trooper and Han Solo figure. No dice on that quite yet. I did get an email from Ray with Underground Figures, and this is the first figure that I gotten a notification from him on a pre-order. He let me know that he was going to have the Jawa and Gronk droid. I know I said that wrong because I'm a New Englander. It was going to be he was going to receive it like on July 20th. So I would imagine Sideshow's also probably going to get their stock pretty soon. I think you'll start seeing some of those Sideshow emails go out relatively soon. I don't think a figure was highly pre-ordered. I still haven't made a decision if I'm going to keep it or not. I'm leaning towards not, just because it was kind of like one of the last figures I'd ordered, kind of my big splurge. And if I had it at any other retailer, I probably would have canceled it, but I don't want to cancel on Ray for that reason. So I'll either sell it or keep it or do something with that. So that's there. Probably sacrilegious to talk about. Roy's probably going to be mad at me, but I did get the new premium format Cyclops figure. Did come in. That was one I pre-ordered a while ago. So I've kind of got my little X-Men small collection here. And but that's the extent I'll talk about it, Roy.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Factual.
Yeah. Right. One side note on kind of what you're talking about there, Brian, with your pre-order coming in soon, is that the smaller retailers, when they're considered a wholesaler, they are most likely to get the stock from Sideshow last. So that's why some of these smaller places, you won't get your stuff for quite a while after Sideshow gets it. So just keep that in mind. If you're willing to support a smaller shop and wait a little bit longer, that's that's kind of the situation there. They're not going to be the first ones. They're not going to be Tim Cent. They're not going to be Toys Wonderland. They're not going to be some of these Hong Kong retailers that get them day of. So definitely keep that in mind when you order from some of these places.
Yeah, I guess I got spoiled because I got Krennic like the same time everybody else did from Sideshow, and I got that one through Steven. So, anyways, and it's not anything on Steven's fault. He can't send me a figure he doesn't have yet. So, so TC's been quiet for a little bit. We'll go to TC next.
All right. Well, if Brian's not going to do anything, I guess I'll pick up the slack. So.
That's right.
That's what Red Wolf was saying.
Yeah, I had a few decisions to make, so I've been going through the MCU, doing a rewatch. I'm almost done with it. My wife actually, when she wants to watch movies, she'll want to just roll right through like 3 of them. I can't even do that, but the plus side is I get through them pretty quickly. But anyway, doing the rewatch, I've really appreciated the character of Iron Man. So I'm probably, with my Marvel collection and some of my Star Wars, I'm probably going to start transitioning to as much Iron Man as I can. I like the, RDJ, the way he portrayed the character, and it's just classic MCU. So, and then when I got the Hulkbuster, like I said, I think it's going to change how I collect, because I just appreciate the engineering and the work that Hot Toys puts into those figures. And I can say that more about them than anything else they do. Not that anything else they do is not amazing, because it's all very good pretty much. But it's just the Iron Man with the engineering, the efforts, just the fact that they can build these suckers from scratch and make them darn near perfect. I've just really appreciated, and I think I'm just going to go back on the Iron Man train as much as I can. I've already got a decent amount of them, but there's some exclusives that I want, and a couple other ones that I plan on getting in the future. So I'm kind of in a transition mode as it stands, and when you're in transition, that means you have to sell stuff. And I did sell a few things. I guess Chris is going to say this as well because it's on his collection, but I did sell him my Gladiator Hulk. Great figure. Issue with the figure is not anything with the figure itself. It's more of, do I spend the money to get Hela, maybe Road Worn Thor, and then Loki? Or do I just keep it, or can I just use it to fund another figure? And I sold in that figure, put the money towards my Mark III quarter scale figure, and that was that. And then I also sold Tarkin and Anakin. So those are some big figures. Some big figures, but again, you guys know how much we put good money into the collection. Mm-hmm. When you do that, I don't want it to feel like a chore. Like I don't want to feel like I gotta put in X amount of dollars every month to do this, and if I don't, then I'm gonna fall behind. I really want to enjoy it, and oddly enough, as expensive as Iron Man figures are, if I focus more on them, and also Spider-Man, that's another key figure for me. If I focus more on them rather than try and dip my toe in everything, it actually makes it better for me. So I'm just going to end up going that way, I think, and I think I'm going to continue to sell some stuff to fund more Iron Man figures in my collection, but sold those 3, and I think they're going to better collections that really want them at this point versus myself. I think with the Anakin figure, I always liked the figure. I just happened to buy it like right before the price exploded, and I was able to get some money back for it. And even with Tarkin, I didn't really lose anything on that figure, so that was pretty good. Sold it to David. Sorry if I'm going to mispronounce your name, David Kung. Sorry if I mispronounced it, but I sold it to him in our group, and he was pretty happy about that. But with the proceeds, I'm going to put it back into the collection, try and reinvest into the collection. I ended up buying the Neon Tech 2.0 from Sean Yahtzee in our group. My friend, he gave me a great deal. I got it for a pretty good deal under retail, so I appreciate that, man. And I also bought the holographic Mark IV from Tim Sent. I bought it day one too, so I'm going to get it here as soon as they release the thing in August. So
Awesome.
yeah, pretty big purchase there. And then also the Neon Tech 1.0, I'm bringing it back in the collection. So
You can have all the Mark IVs.
I know, that's the thing. See, I've got the base. I got the original Mark IV.
Yeah.
In the Hall of Armor. I was going for the Hollow. Then I think, can I really leave out the original Neon Tech? Unfortunately, that stupid Neon Tech is actually pricey right now. So it's not. It's starting to rise. So
Figures, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but
that's how it goes.
Yeah, but I'm happy with it, and I think I like the direction where I'm going. It's going to be a little bit of transition, but I think in the long run, I think I'll like it better.
Hey man, it sounds like a good idea. To me.
So Chris, one quick sec. Just wanted 64 people tuning in live right now. It's
66 on my screen.
Oh, mine might not be updating yet. So just thanks everybody for
that's awesome
tuning in, hearing us ramble about things that we're buying and selling, and talking hot toys here, and just everybody hanging out live. I saw Sean pop in. I also saw Hidalgo, I think he missed his mention of us talking about him finding some of the news in the podcast stuff. So TC, one point I wanted to touch on quickly before I forgot about it, before we throw it to Chris here. You made a point of sometimes less is more. It might sound counterproductive to spend more on a figure, but that is also something that helps with space. And I think now, Aeromeister just said, waiting on the day when you said I bought a statue. I guess he missed me a couple episodes saying that I have a few of those now.
Just a few.
Five. A couple other on pre-order. But I think devoting a space to them, and it definitely helps, because then you don't constantly feel like you got to run out and get everything. And for me, the statue representation for the comics and stuff is better, but for movie realism, there's no way that anybody's ever going to be Hot Toys. So I'm not getting out of the Hot Toy game at all. I'm just kind of diversifying a little bit, but that's helped with my space issues as well. So good point there, TC. All right, Chris, bring us home. Not to the final end of the podcast here, 'cause that's usually how I kick it over to you, but finish off the collection update here.
Sure. So like TC said, when he started talking about paring things down, I was like, I know the exact figure that I'm gonna target, and if he offers it to me, I'm going to buy it.
I've got the Age of Ultron Hulk. It's not like I don't have a Hulk, but I mean, I went to Chris too, because I knew he didn't. Yeah. He needs a figure, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, especially once I got Gladiator Thor and realized how awesome that figure is. I'm like, shoot. I regretted not getting Gladiator Hulk at retail, free shipping, all that stuff. But TC gave me a great deal, and it's currently in transit. Can't wait to get that thing open. And so to help fund that, I sold my TFA First Order TIE Pilot. Roy, he loves this figure, and I bought it pretty much because he loves it. It's a cool figure. It's super underrated, but I sold that to Steven Jackson, Steven's Collectibles. And then also I decided, I was looking at my pre-orders, and I probably shouldn't have pre-ordered it. It was the ESB Vader 40th anniversary. I kind of got caught up in the hype with the packaging and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, if they come out with Bespin Luke again, I can pair with that. I'm like, I've already got Rogue One Vader here. All right. And then I've got the Vader and Tarkin 2-pack. I'm like, I don't need 3 Vaders. So so I canceled that pre-order, got some money back from that, again applied it to the Hulk purchase, and then also been selling a lot of non-6 scale stuff. Sold enough this week to pay for the rest of the Hulk and other things, and banked money, replenished the slush funds and everything, and just looking to see where I can bring more money into the collecting budget. Got a lot more stuff to sell, but again, it's that quality over quantity. Like TC's saying, yes, I've got a bunch of 6 scale stuff, but it's the other stuff that I thought I was going to be able to display and set up and that sort of thing. I've got to pare down a lot of that, and it's that's how we make this work. Selling off stuff to pay for things you might like even better. So that's all mine.
I wish I had the backlog of figures that Chris has. It's like, oh, let me just dive into my little plastic toy chest.
Let me go through my Rolodex here to find out what I have.
Ahsoka Tano pre-production.
That Ahsoka Tano pre-production item that I may have had 2 examples of. Let's just say it bumped the collection budget up substantially. But that's close to 30 years of collecting.
No, I mean, it's great. No, yeah, I mean, always hope to get there.
Again, I keep mentioning all these different topics that I think would make great show topics and stuff like that. But we've had conversations, offline and stuff like that about like what it means to be a collector. Would you ever find a point in time when you're satisfied, you wouldn't buy or sell anything else? And I think we all kind of came to the conclusion, like we'd always find something to do. There's always something to sell or to buy. Mm-hmm. You're never going to be satisfied 100%. But I will say though, like I don't have that urge, as I mentioned last time out in episode 50. I mean, my hot toy collection here, I'm really satisfied with where it is. There's nothing that's itching to leave. I don't need to, because I've been budgeting. Chris, I did remember that you picked on me for my spreadsheets and my budgeting tactics. Well, when it works well and you don't overextend yourself, you don't need to go start selling a bunch of figures. So it works.
No, that's it. It works. And I hope that, some of our listeners take that stuff and take that information and apply it to their own situations.
Very cool. All right, guys, let's shift gears. Let's talk about our topic. We won't spend a ton of time on this. We're already running long. We had a lot of news to cover and thoughts to share about those Toy Fair exclusives. So we thought it'd be fun just to do a little bit of predictions for our 2020 Sideshow Con predictions. These will be, obviously, we're not going to predict any of the Toy Fair exclusive we've already seen, but something to keep in mind for new scavengers, new collectors. You're going to see a boatload of photos and stuff that people, we can't really all take them now because we're not going to be there, but you're going to see an awful lot of photos of figures and stuff that are prototypes, that are figures that they're working on, maybe a nice to have. I mean, guys, the coming soon page on Sideshow, it's like this list of just figures that are never going to see the light of day, and it's really disappointing because there's a ton of them on there, like Baze that we'd love to get, and Valkyrie, hint Chris, and
start pouring one out.
A lot of these things that would be great to have, but there's reasons Hot Toys makes the decisions they do. Do we always agree with them? No. They're first and foremost, they're now a worldwide company, but they sell a lot of their stuff in the Asian market. So that's going to influence a lot of their decisions. And as much as we might want them to make every Star Wars figure ever see the light of day, it's probably not going to happen. So last year, guys, I did a quick look through our database on Scavengers.com. And I think I found 3 figures that they announced right as San Diego Comic-Con was going on. And I thought it was Endgame Rocket, Iron Patriot, and Venom Pool. I might be missing one of them, but they're all released on July 21st. I think the online con is going to start on July 20th this year. We'll go for a full week, and Sideshow is going to be doing a lot of stuff on their website and their social media stuff. So that might be our opportunity. So I would say let's make some predictions here. It'll either be between the Sideshow Con or the Hong Kong Comic Con that they'll do. TC, you said it earlier, and I didn't have it in the notes.
ACGHK.
Yeah, thanks. Knew I could rely on you for that one. So we might actually see a lot of the prototypes and stuff that we normally see in San Diego that we might see there. So just because we see it displayed doesn't mean it's coming out. I need a hard and fast, like, here's the items on the official Sideshow page, and here's all the product promo pictures and stuff, and let's actually get a pre-order for it. So let's just go around the horn a little bit. Maybe some things that we think we'll see. You know, we talked about it during the news segment, if you're just tuning in, that Star Wars didn't get a lot of love with the Toy Fair exclusives, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get any Star Wars figures this summer. So who wants to go first?
I've got some stuff written down. I think, okay, I was kind of going to go the Marvel route, but I do have some Star Wars predictions here. These are figures that have not been shown before, have not been teased, or there's prototypes. That's kind of what I was going off of, because chances are we're going to see that stuff. They're going to bring a lot of those prototypes, maybe reworked prototypes, back out. An updated Padme, stuff like that. But as far as stuff that hasn't been shown before, I mean, these are just completely what I would want to see. But I want to see, hopefully I'm not stealing this from Bryan, but an episode 1 Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's kind of one, especially with Qui-Gon releasing later this year. I think that would be a great figure. The Revenge of the Sith one has been sold out for a while, and all retailers and everything. I think that would be a good time to get that one in, because we know potentially it's probably going to be about 2 or 3 years from now, but maybe a Kenobi from the series. So this would be a good time for that. And then also, I don't know, I just have a feeling that we might see, leading into season 2 of Mandalorian, we might see a Cara Dune. I think that would be an awesome figure. We need some more females in the Star Wars arena, and I've got her 3 3/4-inch figure sitting on my desk, and it's just like her suit, the coloring. I think that would be an awesome figure to see. Again, so many options from Mandalorian, and obviously, Parker Files, Scott's, Mace Windu. I still can't believe that there hasn't been a Mace Windu, especially since he's had Nick Fury figures.
Yeah, it's not a license issue for that.
Right. And I mean, so that's kind of what I was thinking as far as figures that hadn't been shown or discussed. I'll just throw out a couple Marvel ones. I definitely
steal all the examples here, Chris.
Okay. All right, you guys go.
Top liver.
You guys go.
Go ahead and finish. Go ahead, Shabbat. I'm just busting.
I just got to get my thoughts out. I think we'll start seeing maybe some figures from Black Widow. I think maybe a white suit Black Widow, maybe a Taskmaster. I think those would be good figures to tease and or at least show prototypes, because I mean, we've got maybe about 4 months. I think it's about 4 months away from the movie coming out. I don't know. We've seen the Wonder Woman figure. I was thinking maybe we might see a couple figures from Black Widow, but yeah. What about you guys?
TC, why don't you? I got a few that actually Chris didn't mention. So
all right, maybe I can steal them. That's the goal. I think they're gonna. Although I don't know how they're gonna do it. I guess everything runs through Sideshow. Is Hot Toys gonna have their own actual event, or is it just gonna be through Sideshow?
I think Sideshow's planning their own, but I think Hot Toys might try to get.
And then there is ACGHK. I forgot that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I think the Mark II quarter scale is going to be shown and then shortly released. I think they're going to show the Mark I diecast is going to come out at the live show, and I think they're going to bring out the quarter scale Baby Yoda along with the quarter scale Mando for a set, or maybe they'll sell them individually.
Yeah.
I think those three. I was going to say the Neon Tech Iron Man Mark V. I think there's been a picture floating around.
Yeah, I think it was on it's like Sugo Toys or something like that.
But then that would mean it's not going to be an exclusive. Unless they're going to do another one. I guess they could do another batch. They could do another batch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think those are my predictions. I think also you might get a Quantum suit revealed again. I think they might show them again, and I don't think they're dead yet. I think, like with War Machine, with that figure being released, I think there's a real possibility that Quantum suit for War Machine gets released along with Cap. I don't think it's over. I just think they're waiting to get some of these endgame figures out.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Wow, I'm surprised that all the ones that I wanted to mention, none of you guys have talked about. So let's see. I'm gonna bang the table here for Empire Strikes Back. It's the 40th freaking anniversary here. Okay,
it's for old people.
It is like Bespin Han. I have a feeling there's probably a likeness issue with Harrison Ford on that, but just make it happen, Hot Toys. We've got a little tease of him in the Bespin Leia photos. This one's going to be out there. Lando, Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah.
They have to give us a Lando. He's so iconic. That would be epic if they could give us the just go for this whole Bespin set here. Finally, I would love to see them take another crack at Chewbacca and give us an Empire Strikes Back one. I know we've joked here for a while. We'd love to, I saw somebody mentioning a little bit ago that it's a shame we haven't had a C-3PO in Hot Toys form. Give us Empire Strikes Back C-3PO, maybe a swap out leg so you could have the silver leg for A New Hope. And also potentially pack him in with Chewbacca, throw him in the backpack, make it all happen, Hot Toys. So, and finally, somebody mentioned it, looking at the clone commanders, lest we forget that with Commander Cody coming out, with Captain Rex, this is strictly just based on seeing chatter in collecting groups similar to ours, our own collecting group, looking at website traffic on our website, our database, and looking at search pages and stuff. Like Captain Rex is probably still one of the most searched figures that we see, even on a daily basis, that people keep checking in on. So people want clones. So maybe we get the 501st, maybe we get Ahsoka's division. We still got those teased a little bit. Maybe we get a couple more clones. The 210, the 212, Cody's division there, the Airborne Trooper. Just give us some more clones. People love clones. So I'm not necessarily going too far on a limb here. And finally, I think you may have mentioned, but we need a Padme and an Obi-Wan and another Obi-Wan from Attack of the Clones and an Anakin from Attack of the Clones. I'm a prequel apologist. I don't care. So, anyways, just go ahead.
It's tough because being a 3 3/4 inch figure collector, you just get everything. And being a Hot Toys collector, you don't get everything. And when you get a figure like Bespin Leia, but you get nobody for her to hang out with, or Hoth Leia and nobody for her to hang out with except for a snowtrooper. It is tough. And you wonder, again, what is the strategy? Why do they? Okay, yes, they've got Carrie Fisher's likeness, and they can produce the figures, but at least with Endor Leia, you got Endor Luke to pair her with. It's frustrating to no end that you have to wait, because if they announce a figure within the next month or so, I mean, the figure's not coming out till middle to end of next year. So
September-ish, we're probably looking at this point next year.
Yeah. So I mean, any ESB figures, brand new figures, aside from random 40th anniversary repaints or reissues, you're going to be waiting another year plus to put that figure in your display. But it just comes with the territory with being a Hot Toys 6 scale and even quarter scale collector. It's just these figures,
like this is a little different than Star Wars, but I mean, go back to the Mark III in diecast. That was the first of the first 7 in diecast. That was back in 2015 they released that figure. It's now 2020. It's not going to be until 2021, 2022 that you can complete that whole line. 7 years for 7 figures that are the key to the entire MCU. Mm-hmm. So it just tells you how long that you got to wait when you're playing the Hot Toys game, unless you're coming in late and then just buying whatever, everything that you see. But it's crazy.
All right, guys, we're running long. Let's get to our feature figure review. Fun little topic. We don't do that all that often, but it's fun to speculate and sometimes reading the tea leaves and all that other fun stuff. So Elvis is in the house, and man, he's going to be happy here. We've got the Death Trooper, and surprisingly, I guess I forgot that we hadn't covered this yet. So it'd be good to do, and I know we're going to be talking about the specialist that has the shoulder pauldron, the different rifle, and the different gear on his chest with all the grenades and ammo packs and all that other stuff. But so this is one, guys, that's still holding value, and you see it maybe coming down a little bit in some of the buy-sell trade groups, but you're still seeing double retail at least, and it did climb more at one point. The deluxe is still commanding quite a bit because everybody wants a little Stormy to have in their collection. So executive decision, I think we'll cover both the specialist guys and the deluxe. So stats, obviously, this is from Rogue One. We did see these guys show up in The Mandalorian as well. And if you loved the Disney Gallery show that they had on Disney Plus as much as I did, it took my love of The Mandalorian and just took it to another level, just to hear Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, and all the other directors and stuff, and John Knoll and everybody involved with this. It was fun. I love the fact that it was like the Swiss Army knife of Star Wars, and they just reused as much and stuff as they can, put background characters, bring them to the forefront. To be honest, guys, and I don't know this for sure, but I think the reason we got Death Troopers in The Mandalorian, it made sense story-wise, but I think they had a bunch of these armors kicking around from when they filmed Rogue One, and they just said, hey, let's find a reason to reuse them. So everybody else, I still have hope that The Mandalorian is going to visit a tropical island destination. I know they have to exist in Star Wars somewhere. Scarif can't be the only place. They have a beach in the Star Wars universe. We need a short trooper. We need the reissue. Calling it now. I know I'm getting completely off topic here, talking about
throwing another thing in the ring.
Yeah, but we need to see it on screen before they can obviously tease a short trooper reissue. But there's their out. That's what I'm holding out for.
Yeah.
But anyway, so fantastic figure, guys. The original specialist was the first Rogue One figure. It was announced on that Force Friday, September 2nd, 2016. Released really quickly on October 5th, 2016. So barely a month, and you had this. The original retail price was $234.99, MMS $385. Now the deluxe came around a couple months later, November 15th, 2016. Obviously, it has the different accessories and stuff that we'll talk about. MMS $399, comes with the Stormy doll, the rock base, doesn't include the smaller rifle that we have on the screen here. I think it's the DL11. No, not the DL11. It's something else. Justin would have to probably correct us on the rifle, the guns here. Announced November 15, 2016, finally released March 24, 2017. So you did have to wait for the deluxe a little bit longer, even though they basically had all the different parts for it And the Death Trooper specialist could be kind of considered like a movie promo figure type. So, I mean, that's the stats. I'll start kind of scrolling through the photos here. I mean, guys, I'd argue, and I know I've done a lot of the talking here, I mean, the Death Trooper is one of the most iconic looking troopers they've ever done.
It's so awesome.
What do you say? I mean, I guess they're the superior. Are they the superior breed?
Yeah.
Why they're taller than the regular stormtrooper, the elites.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, Hot Toys, they did a great job. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, they have every weapon, armor piece. It's just a great figure. I mean, the only downside of them are it's the articulation. You really can't pull off these poses. I mean, maybe you can. You're going to put a lot of stress on that rubber suit. I've heard of people taking off the rubber suit, but that's pretty much the only downside in terms of like presence. They're the king of all the troopers. They're great.
Yeah. Even just when we saw the first trailer of Rogue One, and you're like, what are these troopers? Like, what is their deal? They just look so, I know, they're so badass looking. Kind of in the EU fans for Star Wars, there was like shadow troopers and stuff like that, but those were kind of they were stormtroopers, but they were black. I mean, this just takes it to a whole nother level. I think the fact that, you've got this, they're just loaded up with gear. They just look like they're ready to battle, and you've got these green elements in the helmet, which is just enough color to give it, a little bit extra. I mean, though, in person, you don't really see it. It's not as prominent as some of these pictures. But yeah, you get the Stormtrooper doll. I know that's the big thing. I've got mine, my little guy. He's right here.
And these guys will actually occasionally hit somebody. So,
yes.
They won't go for 20 in a matter of a second. They might hit someone and actually kill somebody. So
yeah,
pretty good.
They're just a perfect complement to, Director Krennic now. And when the Mandalorian figures start releasing, I mean, if I know it was mentioned in the chat, a Moff Gideon would be just killer, having him flanked by a bunch of Death Troopers. I haven't had mine. I've got the Specialist Deluxe, and let's see, which one do I have? Just the regular Death Trooper. I can't even remember. He's behind.
I think it's $398 for that one.
Yeah. So I've only had mine for a couple months now, maybe not even. I got worked out a deal with Raul locally here. And I mean, this is the first time I've really taken mine out and messed around with them. And you aren't kidding. The articulation is not good.
It's trash.
So this is where Hot Toys goes for look over
function.
And I'm actually okay with it. So I know a lot of people knocked this figure when it first came out. Obviously, people have always thought these things look cool, but believe it or not, like looking back at a lot of historical posts and stuff like that, like these sat around for a little bit. Like they didn't sell it instantly, and it really took, I think, that second wave of people going back and realizing how cool Rogue One was to say, oh, I need to go pick these up. I had all three at one point. I did sell my deluxe to Justin. I still have this specialist, the 385 that we're talking about, and the standard. I have the Mandalorian one on pre-order, which is going to be the 398 reissue without the pauldron and all the extra gear. The shelf presence is just there, even if you don't have them articulated all that well. So a couple negatives. To me, like the helmet feels a little small for the body. But I think that's just kind of how they were designed. I think it's really form-fitting. It's not huge like a typical dome is for the Stormtroopers. You guys mentioned the articulation, especially at the elbows, because the forearm armor is really stiff. the rubber suit underneath, as TC mentioned. Sorry for the coughing. You know, that's there. You know, they stand well without stands. The ankles a little bit are, you know, that they can be tough too. But I mean, overall, I mean, it looks fantastic.
You know what though? And maybe this is jealousy on my part that I don't have the figure. But man, you know, Hot Toys, they really dropped the ball. This doll does not belong with this figure.
It doesn't.
The
You're right.
specialist did not pick up the doll. The standard release, standard trooper without the pauldron picked up the doll. They didn't give that to the right trooper. So that's the major downfall for the figure. But, you know, other than that, and the articulation looks great. But Hot Toys, get it right. Come on.
The other thing I'll mention too, that's kind of something to note about the deluxe, and if you are somebody that uses stands, you cannot have you have to have the trooper kind of in the Captain Morgan pose. You need kind of one leg up to have it work. He can't really stand flat-footed unless he's like well in front of the stand and you kind of turn it around. So it's just something to note. Another downfall too for the deluxe versus the 385. The 385 does come with the shorter rifle that you get with a standard. The deluxe only comes with this large, I think it's a DL19 rifle. That's the only gun that comes with this outside of the sidearm, the blaster pistol. Again, you know, obviously we're kind of speaking on a little bit of authority because I've had these figures for a while. The other thing to note too, if you do acquire this figure, is the little the little leather pleather strap that they have that you're supposed to hook in the scope of the pistol to stay at a side. It's so thin, it will rip. If you get a figure secondhand, make sure to ask about that. I do not have my troopers displayed with the pistol at their side. I just have it in a box somewhere. I just don't even want to stress that piece of fabric, essentially, because it will rip for sure.
This picture is ridiculous.
This picture's pretty
good. Yeah, definitely be mindful. And I think a lot of those issues, I think they were just kept on being brought up at that time, and it just kept on knocking the figure. So I think it got a lot of bad press, you know, quote unquote. And I mean, there was times when I think maybe not the deluxe, but the other two were sub $200, like on the regular basis. And then boom, Krennic gets announced, and it's like instant, you know, doubling of price on these figures. And it goes to show that those singular releases, you know, we talked about like the Leias and that sort of thing. Once they announce a pairing, then, you know, that other figure becomes that much more desirable. So yes, thank you, Elvis, for the E11D.
I forgot the D part of it, so
Yeah.
Elvis
That's close enough for me.
If anybody was going to correct us, I'm glad it's Elvis. Justin's out there squawking too about his trooper. So
yeah.
Wow, we had a lot of comments while we were talking there. I'm just kind of
I've got mine set up on the base in the Captain Morgan pose. It looks okay. It does. I got to figure out how to handle the rifle a little bit better. And so one of our faithful listeners and followers, Lotus, he strongly recommends you wear your
white gloves for this.
Gloves, because definitely the fingerprints and the oils from your fingers, you just, you know, you want to at least make sure your hands are super clean touching this figure, because, you know, it's got that shiny black plastic, and you don't want that to either cause any issues with the finish. But these were, when I got these, I mean, it was just, I was so happy to add these to the Rogue One lineup. And I think, you know, if you're a fan of that movie and you don't have one, definitely I mean, it's great that you have an option for the Mandalorian, but if you're a purist and you want the Rogue One figures, I mean, you're gonna have to be that scavenger and really dig around for a deal, because there's not that many deals for these figures. People aren't going to be giving these
especially
away.
this deluxe.
Yeah,
There's because the reissues, it doesn't give you the doll.
no,
So if there's no doll, there's it's not the same. You gotta have the doll.
yeah, and you're not going to see anybody parting out
No.
this figure. Yeah. Yep.
All right, Chris.
Cool figure.
For sure. All right. We can't rate this thing on anything other than Stormy.
Oh my God. It's got to be.
This photo, I forgot I took it. It's the stormtrooper has got his pistol, making Stormy hold up his hands. So poor guy.
Too funny. Yeah, that's it's Jyn Erso's little doll that she had when she was a kid there. Yep.
So
I'm down
what do you
for
think? What do you rate it as?
Man, coolness factor. I mean, it's definitely a 5. Functionality and posability. A little bit closer to a 4 or 5 as far as that goes. I haven't messed around with them enough. I'm not a photographer. I mean, I doubt I'm going to be messing with this figure much, but I'm going to say overall 4.75 Stormies.
It's almost like you and I have been good friends for a long time, because you almost just verbatim said what I was going to say about that.
Hey man, we're all good friends. Look we coordinated our wardrobes for tonight and everything.
I don't have a Scavenger shirt on. I got a Captain America shirt on, but
yeah, color wise, we're all there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it would be aesthetic and coolness and shelf presence. It's a 5. Functionality and being able to pose it, it's like a 4 or 5. So you average it out, we're looking at a 4.75. Definitely. I'll just leave it one thought. Like, I would not. We usually don't recommend going too crazy for older figures and stuff, because of now it's a little bit more common for redos, Zach, or reissues for stuff like this. But to go for one of these specialists that isn't currently slated for a reissue, I wouldn't feel comfortable spending way over Toys retail, but don't beat yourself up if that's the best deal you can find, because it's great to have multiple Death Troopers. I got rid of 1. I still have 2. So, and I'll have a 3rd on the way. So you can't have too many. You can't have too many Death Troopers. I would love to have multiple Short Troopers. I just don't want to have to take out a second mortgage to make it happen. So
it would be awesome.
Idea.
It would be awesome.
I have an idea. So Justin said that the Stormy doll is the best accessory that they've ever done. We should have a March Madness bracket. Hot Toys accessories. Stormy doll with #1 seed against whatever. Then you have I don't know, Captain America's die-cast shield.
Yeah,
that's another #1 seed, stuff like that.
Hey, when we're really struggling to come up with topics, TC, we're going to remember this conversation.
Yeah, we're going to revisit this one.
We throw no idea away. We are
right.
Scavengers after all.
That's right.
All right. So a very solid 4.75 from us on that one. So, all right, guys. Great show. Kind of shifted gears at the last second. Really bummed we couldn't get the 6 scale economist on with us, but we'll get him on next time. Also, been talking to Scott from the Parker Files, and got to get him on an episode, I think, in August, and hopefully get him to talk a little bit about what it takes to go in to making a YouTube review, and a good YouTube review, and all the different work that goes in behind the scenes of editing and all that other fun stuff. So looking forward to that. So getting to our normal plugs, we have our website, 6scalescavengers.com, where we have our checklists and databases. We reference them a couple different times in this episode. We have our TeePublic store. If you just search for 6 Scale Scavengers, you'll find our t-shirt designs that Roy has done for us. Chris, the 6 Scale Clothier might be back in business.
I am. I'm sure a lot of our members have seen my post on the group this morning. I do have 1 6 scale shirts, t-shirts, and hoodies available with multiple logo designs, some 6 scale Scavengers, some of my own vintage Viewport, Rebel Commando, Ahsoka logos. So definitely check those out. Multiple colors, do ship worldwide, and all the profits for that go right back into our podcasting budget to help our hosting fees and other areas like StreamYard, etc. So yeah, check those out. I don't think they'll go too fast, so you'll probably have a chance to get one if you haven't gotten one in the past. So, and then this will fund the next batch of them.
Very cool. So we have our Facebook page. We're on Instagram and Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and 6scalescavengers.libsyn.com if you want to grab that RSS feed and throw it into your podcast catcher of choice.
And just real quick, shout out to the Collecting Weekly gang. They have a new show talking about comics. So another show to their suite of offerings for the listeners. But yeah, give them a listen. Zach and Dean head up that network.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Any other closing thoughts here?
No, I'm just interested in seeing, what's coming down the pipeline in a week or two, or a couple of weeks anyway. Will some of these figure predictions come true? Maybe, maybe not. Stay tuned. But yeah, definitely interested. I mean, it's always a great time. The San Diego Comic-Con review shows have always been some of the most viewed and interactive shows in the past. And this is not quite up to that level, but it's a chance for Hot Toys Sideshow to showcase some of these figures, and yeah, look forward to it.
All right, absolutely, guys. Fun talk. I love talking to you guys. Love talking to all of our scavengers, and thanks for tuning in and sticking with us. I think we set a new record of live viewers. I think we had 74 at one point. So that's
holy moly.
Yeah, on a random Wednesday that we didn't even sure we were going to record tonight. So I appreciate all the comments, and we do this for everybody else. Yeah, I love talking to you guys, but also we love trying to help people out too. So, all right, Chris, my friend, now you can bring it home, my friend.
Excelsior.